I'll tell you this. So my grandmother never liked me when I was a child, you know? And she didn't like me. And yeah. Making sure everything was, like I said something, you guys laughed at it for some other reason, I don't know. Here there's ghosts. My grandmother didn't like me when I was 6 years old. She said at her house, she said, you can't come visit me anymore. And she said that because I ate some chocolates at her house. And I lied to her. And I lied to her about it. And I could have done that, I don't know. You know, I was 6 years old, I don't know what I was doing. I was really just semen that was really still bothering people. So anyway, the next time she let me come visit, I was 16 years old, so it's been 1 decade. And she lived in a small town in the Midwest. And I got there, and some local kids gave me some LSD to welcome me to the area. And I took it, you know, because that's the kind of guy I am. And I took it, and they took me to a party in a small town, like 1,000 people lived in this town. They took me to a party, and at one point during the night I had to urinate. And you should never feel ashamed of yourself if you have to pee. There's nothing wrong with you, you know? Nothing wrong with you, dude. What's wrong with you? Nothing. You know, that's just God just trying to pull water out of your body through the front of you. It's His water. You're just a fucking camel, bucko, so deal with the process, you know? So anyway, instead of just being, you know, I walked behind a barn, they had a barn and had a car back there, a Ford Escort, and I opened the back door of this Ford Escort and pee in the vehicle. Because I'm not peeing on somebody's land, I don't know whose land this is. People get pissed if you piss on their land. You can pee in the back of a Ford Escort if you want to. You're not supposed to, but you also can do it. So throughout the rest of the evening, I would continue to urinate. I would walk back behind the barn, open that, and urinate in that vehicle. And that's how I pee. I pee like that, you know. I fucking, you know, get the wiener out and pee like that. Naturally, like God intended, you know. A lot of guys I see get their wiener out, grab their fucking wiener. What are you doing, murderer guy? Okay? Your wiener's pointing exactly down. You're just gonna fucking hold it down? Fucking creep. Be nice to your fucking wiener, you sick man. Be naturally like this. Get your wiener out. So anyway, fast forward a couple hours, I have to get a ride home. The only person that will give me a ride home is this boy Jason and his girlfriend, and they drive the car I've been urinating into. Yeah. And I don't have the heart to tell them I've been peeing in this car. I figure I'll keep that to myself. That's the kind of guy I am. So I'm sitting in the back seat of my own urine. And that LSD starts to flare up, that acid, you know. You forgot I took it on me too. And I started not doing super great. At first my brain like I started to feel like I was like twins, you know? That had never separated. Because inside of my head I heard like, knock knock, who's there? Us. And then somebody asked me if I had both of my shoulders with me. And I could feel my brain starting to thaw out a little bit, and I felt like a bunch of like condensation was about to drip off the bottom of my brain. And then a huge tiger tongue came and licked it right off the bottom of my brain. So I figured I wasn't really doing, you know, really well. So I said, hey, drop me off a few blocks from my grandmother's. I want to walk off this LSD. You can't do that. I don't know what they put in LSD, but it ain't GPS, you know what I'm saying? So bro, they dropped me off, dude, in like a park, I think it's a park. You ever been on LSD? Everywhere's a park when you're on LSD. Your front yard is Yosemite, son. Dude, they dropped me off somewhere, and I could feel the fucking devil climbing up and down my spine, just looking for warm chunks of cabbage, you know? And I started really not doing super swell, and my senses, my active ingredients inside of me, they started kind of getting disorganized. And I like to keep my senses organized, you know? And suddenly I could see, but out of this part of my hands. Like Iron Man, you know? And that sounds crazy. If you think that sounds crazy, I agree with you. That sounds fucking nuts, bucko. But I've been seeing my whole life out of these natural locations. And I know when that shit switches holsters. So now I have to find my way to my grandmother's house. I have to find the street signs, then I have to read them like this. Dude, I get to my grandmother's, and I'm really not doing extravagantly, and she lives in a small home. 2 bedrooms, a little bit of home in the middle of them. And I go in the guest room, I lay down, right? And I close my eyes, and they're still open. And I check to make sure I closed each one, and I had. And that's when I got scared, and I was already scared. So it's crazy to just suddenly feel scared again when you're already scared. And I reverted to when I was a kid, but the last time I've been at my grandmother's. If you got scared at my grandma's house, you could walk down the house at night, in the middle of the night, and you could say, "Grandma, I'm scared," at their bedroom door. You could say, "Grandma, I'm scared, can I get in bed with you guys?" And they would let you lay in there with them until you felt enough comfort. So that's what I did, man. I fucking got up, 16 years old, high on LSD, freshened up a little, start walking down the house to my grandmother's. All these ceramic frogs looking at me. That's the motherfucker that ate the chocolates. Get that motherfucker. I get to my grandmother's bedroom door. They're laying in their bed. I say, "Grandma." Bro, I was laughing and crying, bro. Yeah, everybody was invited to my feelings. I said, "Grandma, I'm scared. Can I get in bed with you guys?" And she said, "Yes." And she could have said anything she wanted. And she picked the wrong thing. So now I am laying in between my grandparents, who I barely even know. Just frying on LSD, man. Just like the devil hired 9 Waffle House chefs to work in the back of my neck, and everybody ordered bacon, you know? Dude, I remember I started thinking who was going to be alive longer based on their body temperature, right? I was Edgar Allan Poe, and dog, I wasn't doing super great. And I was laying there for like 40 minutes or like 2 minutes. And I sat up in my grandmother's bed. I leaned over my grandmother. They had a phone on the bedside table. I picked it up, a telly, and dialed 911. Because, dude, they advertise well, man. Even when you're on acid, you remember 911. That's remarkable. And it was a small town. Like, I hit 9-1, and they were already on the phone. I said, there's somebody in the basement. And it's not me. The guy goes, okay, we'll be right over. I'll put the phone down. I'll lay back down between my grandparents. Just fucking posting up between the G-rents, you know? Hoping maybe they didn't hear me. My grandmother, who is 2 inches away from me in her own bed, sits up and goes, there's somebody in the basement! And I had no idea what she's talking about. Like no real idea, like I have no clue what the fuck she's talking about, dude. My brain took a previous exit, you know? I'm baking future cakes, you know? I'm wondering why this bitch is in my house. Now my grandmother and I are arguing over like who's like there's somebody in the basement, like who's on first, remember that? But there's somebody in the basement. My grandfather's just laying there, just like a fucking shit, like a loose shit, man. I remember at one point, she's like, you called him. I remember telling her the phone wasn't real, that's what I told her. You think that's a real phone? Dude, the officer comes in. We're just laying in my grandmother's bed. My grandfather's still trying to get some rest. You know those motherfuckers, bro. They don't give a damn. They die about 15 years before they actually die. And the officer went and looked in the basement. Nobody in there. You know, I knew that shit. And then he put me to bed. He walked me to bed, tucked me into bed, this police officer, you know. And the next morning, my grandmother made me breakfast, and she didn't say a word to me. I didn't say a word to her. And I left that afternoon, and that was the last time I ever saw her. She died about maybe 5 weeks after that, 5.5 weeks. Yeah. So it's you know, it's a wild world.